Okay, it should be going for real this time. Could not tell you.
What kind of keyboard is this?
Oh, I don't know.
People are asking. But yeah, why didn't we get the
I have to hook it up still.
Oh, we should do that.
I know.
Keyboard looks sick.
Yeah, I'm doing doper. JJK, are you freaking kidding me? Okay. He's back.
Oh, hi. Good to see you. I missed you too. I missed you too. Now, how do I do the thing that I had before? Just that? Oh, that works.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I forgot there's like two.
There we go. What happened? I don't know. It just stopped.
Crashed out, literally.
It was upset at me for doing things right for once. So it said we gotta end this stream right now. Does my wife work in the tech industry? If you consider my platform tech, then yes. It would not be a TNF stream without technical issues. You are correct. You are correct. Thoughts on digital marketing? What do you think I do? Are you going to continue your previous point? I honestly don't even remember where we cut off. I forget. Oh, adaptive thermogenesis, right? So when it comes to adaptive thermogenesis, the problem is the people who talk about it the most understand it the least. So let's imagine you take a person and their normal maintenance is somewhere around like 2,500 calories, right? Adaptive thermogenesis works far more up than it does down. So what you'll have is if somebody significantly overeats and they do this for a very long period of time, then they will actually speed up a lot of their processes and get their overall, like their thermogenesis can get pretty darn high. You can have people that can literally maintain their body weight on like 4,000, 4,500 calories, sometimes even higher, depending on the circumstance. But when it comes to going down, it's significantly different because of the fact that you have organs, right? You have organs, you have daily tasks that you need to do, you have to move around. And in some cases, if you're actually adding in actual activity, oh, and then you have thermic effect of food. Like you have all of these things playing into it that you just can't get rid of. And so what happens is when somebody starts a dieting phase, yeah, there might be some level of adaptive thermogenesis, but it's not the kind of adaptive thermogenesis that's going to stop you from losing weight on like 800 calories. The only people who aren't losing weight on 800 calories don't need to lose weight, right? Like those are people who are legitimate skeletons. And they're like they're the people that you hear about and you take a look at them and you're like, "Oh my gosh, what am I looking at?" Like that person's like 85 pounds and like looks like they've got a foot in the grave, right? Like those are the only types of people that would end up ever like having their stuff shift down so much to the point where anything resembling 1,000 calories wouldn't have them losing weight. And so what happens is you have people who are very overweight, people who are very, we'll just say fat to keep it simple. You have people that are very fat who hear about adaptive thermogenesis and they're like, oh, well, that must be the reason I can't lose weight. Problem is, every single piece of literature that we have on this topic shows that people who are significantly overweight have higher expenditures, or at the very least, they have high expenditures relative to what they're saying they're not losing weight on. It's incredibly detailed and clear, and you can almost hear the derision within the studies of the authors who are like, yeah, these people are just lying about how much they intake. And I don't want you to use this to throw it in people's faces. It's just that people don't really understand how much food they actually consume. And so what happens is they start to make up scenarios that just aren't real. Do you think Tori is natural? I think it's sus. It is pretty sus, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Tori outlifts me. Like it's pretty insane. All right. Why has BP C157 not gotten a RCT yet? Good question. I think it has. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's RCTs on BPC 157. I just don't think they're extensive. Maybe I'm wrong. I know I've read literature on BPC. I guess that you would have to. I guess you'd have to say more specifically what sort of things it hasn't looked at, because I'm pretty sure we've seen RCTs on BPC. I mean, I've read them, so I don't know where they came from. If I don't know, maybe I was reading somebody's notes and I didn't realize it, but I'm pretty sure I was reading studies. Did you go to college? If so, what did you study? I did study geology. Boring rocks. Any advice for people trying to be an influencer? A lot, a lot. But the main thing that people miss out on constantly is high degree of consistency. So what you'll have is you'll have a lot of people who want to be fitness influencers, and what they'll do is they'll post for a week, and then they'll go like a couple weeks without posting, and then they'll post again, like, oh, well, I really want to be one, and it's like, okay, well, then why are you posting once every 3 days? Like, that doesn't make any sense. In this landscape, it needs to be 2 times minimum a day. Like on short form content, you should be getting yourself out there constantly. It's got to be nonstop. You got to treat it like a job. But people don't treat it like a job because they don't view it as a job. So what they'll do is they'll be like, oh, well, I want to be an influencer. I'm like, as a job? Yeah. It's like, well, then why aren't you treating it like a job? It doesn't make any sense. Why geology? I'm actually curious. Because I was told that I could make a lot of money with it with a bachelor's degree, which is true. Because I was planning on going into petroleum. So that was my primary reason for going into geology, because I wanted to go into the sciences, but I didn't want to spend a crap ton of time in school. And so I looked into what jobs you could get the most money out of while doing a science degree that doesn't require you to do grad school, and geology was the number one in that list. Geology question: what is your opinion on granite? I have zero opinions on granite. I I I don't like geology. I just did it. Really, is the job market good? It was when I was in school. I haven't looked at it in a long time. Or I should say it was when I was looking into getting into geology. No idea what it's like right now. Have you ever taken an IQ test? No. It's bad, bro. I'm sorry. Sorry. Well, that was a terrible opinion. What? What was a terrible opinion? What are we talking about? Have fun at the gym. Unk must be in the high 130s. I think the whole idea of trying to figure out exactly what your IQ is just a waste of time. It's just a way for people to feel superior rather than just focusing on what they need to focus on. Terrible opinion on granite. I mean, it's such a boring rock. Like, what do you want from me? You're a digital marketer? I mean, yes, I believe so. I believe so. The use of digital channels to promote brands and products, connecting them with potential customers. How would I not be a digital marketer? Like, the definition's right there. How would I not be a digital marketer? How do you chronically activate mTOR in skeletal muscle naturally? Chronically? I mean, what do you mean by chronically? That's why we lift. That's what we're trying to do. IQ tests are pointless. If you find out you're low, you will feel bad. If you find out it's good, you might just start being exactly. That's how I feel about it. I'm like an IQ test, like going out of your way for an IQ test is so pointless because it's not going to do anything for you. And if it does, then you probably had the wrong mindset to begin with. What tier is granite? A solid B. It's neither cool nor uncool. What's the most optimal rock? I don't know how I don't even know how I would quantify that, to be honest. My favorite fitness influencer, TNFO. Favorite fitness influencer, and you don't even know that it's TNF. Are you a genetic determinist? No. TikTok gave me a warning when I asked you if your knee is fully healed yet. That's weird. Why is bench press so negatively impacted on a cut? Ooh, now we're asking the interesting questions. Because coordination levels actually go down while you're cutting. It's part of the reason why I get so frustrated with people who will not admit that in a lot of cases machines are just superior to free weights. I'm like, you're legitimately telling me that the fact that you have to go from a 315-pound bench down to 240 pounds while you get to stage doesn't partially impact your ability to maintain muscle when maybe you would have only dropped 20 to 30 pounds if you were doing a press that was a stable motion. I have a hard time believing that. It's just better to use machines in general. It just becomes more obvious while you're cutting. Good machines, right? So like a lot of times I'll see people that'll be like, oh, well, yeah, machines are better. And then I'll look at the machine they're using. I'm like, that's a crappy machine. Like the resistance profile is horrible, or it just doesn't load properly, or it's taking you through a really awkward range. And they're like, oh, machines are better. I'm like, no, not blanket statement. You got to look at the machine individually, and then you can assess it. What's a crappy machine at Planet Fitness? Ooh, good question. Good question. Let me think about that for a second. I don't know if I'd say crappy, but unfortunately, a lot of their machines are on separate cable systems when they're a bilateral exercise, which I don't like. I like, for additional stability, when you have something like a row machine or a pull down machine of some sort, I like for them to be on the same fixed track so that your arms don't like do this, right? Because that just adds an extra layer in there. Wait, did it? It looks fine on my end. Did something happen? Oh, Tori thought that something happened to the stream. What do you think about push-pull legs, rest, upper, lower, split? I think it's fine. I think people have become so worried about minor details that they won't actually play around with things that can be perfectly fine. Like a push-pull leg rest, upper, lower rest is perfectly fine. I get that people are worried about overlapping fatigue. I understand that. But the number of physiques that have been built on 5 or 6 days training per week, including my own, I have a very, very hard time making a quality argument that you should only be in the gym 3 or 4 days a week. I think people think that fatigue just builds a lot more than it does. And so they get very hyper obsessive about it. I'm not saying that there's not fatigue. There is. I'm just saying I think people have very much overplayed it. Thoughts on GVS? I like GVS. Who's better, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? Wrong person to ask. Why do I never hit the front double by? I guess we'll never know. Are Atlas stones the most anabolic rock? Probably. Can you go over aggressive cutting and muscle loss? Like how long and how big of a deficit before you have to worry you're thinking about it too hard? Would you pursue streaming as part of your career? I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'd have to see whether it was financially viable. Have to do a cost analysis on that. Why did you change your mind about geology? Other opportunities that I wanted to pursue more. Would you ever go back to eating 4,500 calories? There's no reason for me to, right? Like, even when I was eating that much, I specifically told everybody, I was like, I do not need to be eating this much. I'm like, I'm doing this as an experiment for myself to see what will happen. And do you know what happened? I gained fat fast, like really fast, like uncomfortably fast. It is not hard for me to eat. It really isn't. When will I be competing next? I'm not sure. Was I eating crappy? No, I was eating good food. Like the people who say like you can't get fat on good food, I'm like, you just don't eat enough. Uh, how much is my maintenance? It's high 2000s. High 2000s. Or I should say, because here's the other thing that people often don't take into account. You could be off on your calories, but as long as you're consistently off on your calories and you've been tracking, then you're good. So like where I've been consistently tracking my calories at is high 2000s, and I seem to be fairly close to maintenance on high 2000s. Has to be 3200? Nope. Nope. I will gain weight on 3200. I'm not highly active. No, like people often overestimate how much they think calories will be for a person. It's typically not as high as people think. They think that muscle all of a sudden makes you like they think muscle all of a sudden makes it that your expenditure is like 4,000 calories, like 3,500 calories. I'm like, that's not common. It can happen, but it's not common. You versus Jeff Nippard in a bodybuilding contest, Jeff would win. Everyone just ignored Hussein. Oh, I completely missed it. I didn't see what he said. 20% of protein from calories from protein doable? It should be. Unless you're eating something in some 20%? 20%. That's I guess it depends on how much you're eating overall. Why is dominant arm weaker on unilateral movements? No idea. You might just not be able to connect with it as well for those specific muscle groups, but I wouldn't know why yours is. But it doesn't matter. Just start with the weak arm. When are you going to play Marvel Rivals? I am not going to. Sorry. We demand Marvel Rivals. I refuse. What's my fiber intake? I don't know. I don't know exact numbers. How come you don't do 10K steps anymore like you were before, even when you weren't on prep? Well, because I'm not really that worried about it. Not really trying to I just have my consistent activities that I do. Thoughts on Runvis? I think Runvis is interesting for the community. Let's put it that way. I mean, he's wrong a decent amount, but he's entertaining. He's also right a decent amount. So it's like it makes it very entertaining when somebody is right a lot and wrong a lot. I don't have a favorite video game. What are the base principles to understand muscle growth? It's what I'm writing right now. It's the manual I am making right now is about that. The main things you need to understand are stimulus, fatigue, frequency, volume, exercise selection. If you are very knowledgeable in those categories, you'll probably do pretty darn well. Will you ever release a book? When you say book, I'm assuming you mean like a long book, and that would be a long time down the road. But manuals, like very basic stuff, just to like get you guys on the right track, that's what I'm working towards right now. I'm specifically talking about him being sexist. Who? Oh, Runvis. I don't know. I saw people make comments about that, but I honestly have no idea what he said. Haven't seen anything. I've only seen people comment about him being sexist. I haven't seen what they're talking about. How many sets a week? Kind of depends on how you're spreading it out, and depends on your exercise selection. There's too much nuance to give you like a set number. I typically tell people if they're training under 4 sets per week for a muscle group, they're probably not that serious about that specific muscle group. Now, it could go higher, obviously, but I typically say like when you get into training a muscle group like 1, 2, 3 sets a week, there's probably some aspect to which you're just not that serious about that particular muscle. Minimum effective protein, I mean, 1. There's really no question. It's just increasing. It just is. It's more and more effective as you go up, and then there's a point at which it starts to curve, and then become less, diminishing returns, and then no returns as far as muscle growth. Do you feel like your TikTok content gets kind of repetitive? Of course. I mean, social media is repetitive in general. It's very hard to not be repetitive. Also, people like repetition. So what happens is you might get annoyed with repetition from time to time, but the general audience likes repetition. They like knowing what to expect, how to expect it, and it's almost comforting to them. So you'll find that there's crazy amounts of repetition in a lot of things that you don't even think about, and you actually are drawn towards repetition. Now, obviously, you can wear that welcome out, but that is the way it works. If you have a long upper arm and underdeveloped rear delts, would a kelso or a row be better? I would have a very hard time arguing for a row to be better for anybody. Now, that doesn't mean that rows aren't good, but arguing that it's better than a kelso, if you are able to perform kelsos in a good manner for trap development specifically, it's a hard argument to make, in my opinion. He was referring to scientific snitch as it and said he can argue with her because she's a woman and just being overall degrading towards her. Oh. Okay. Well, I'm not a fan of that, but it's not my battle. Yo, TNF, my lats just haven't been growing no matter what I do. Any advice? Are you getting stronger with lat-based movements? Because if you're getting stronger with lat-based movements, they are growing. You just don't like the rate at which they're growing. And at that point, you can say, Mom, Dad, I'm very mad at you for not giving me better genetics for lats. I say it every day. You can do the same. Is it safe to take regular squats to failure? Just depends on the person. I mean, I took regular squats to failure all the time, but that's because I had no issue with bailing. Right? If you can't bail safely, then obviously that's a different story. Please tell me that dead stopping is a joke. I mean, it's not a joke for a lot of people. How often would you be posting every day on TikTok if you had to start over? Pretty much what I did. I would post, when I first started TikTok, I was posting somewhere in the neighborhood of like anywhere from 5 to 20 times a day. So it'd be the same thing. There was a period of time where I tried to like make my videos a little bit higher quality editing, but even then it wasn't like high quality editing. It was kind of that weird middle ground where it's like better edited, but not good enough to be like so visually impactful that it was worth doing. And then I was posting maybe like twice a day when I was doing that. And I was like, this is not worth it, not worth the return on investment. So what I did was I then started to up my post frequency like crazy. He's lying as always. Sandra or Sandra, you always be hating. I don't know why. I don't know what I did to you. Where did TNF hurt you? Let me know. My dad still runs a bro split. Please help him. There's nothing I can do. Is your dad jacked? That was the golden era of TNF. Hey, things have changed. Things have changed. We've evolved. We've adapted. And now we are at, what are we at? 986K. 14K away from the big one. Why are they claiming you're not Natty? I don't get it. Who? Make chat subscribers only? Can you do that? There's no way you can do that. How do you do that? I don't know. Oh no, we're cooked. Who told him that? Just subscribe and then you'll be fine. But I don't know how to do that. So I guess you'll be fine for now. Tori, come help me. Is the fatigue from the workout with Christian Guzman still there? Yeah. I haven't been able to progress in weeks because of it. It's just a joke. How can I contact you to get a lift together? Marvin. Marvin Lingan. I don't know. How many followers do you have? I'm not sure who you are. Do I personally do Kelsos or rows? I do both. TNF only works out with people who have clout. Not only, but if somebody asks to work out with me and there's zero mutual benefit, then I'm probably not going to do it, because then I would have to work out with everybody who asked, and that would just get ridiculous. You got to draw a line somewhere. Bro didn't watch the recent video. Watch what recent video? What recent video? TNF only works out with people that have 100K followers. That's not true. I worked out with a couple people that had less than 100K. I've done charity work before. That recent video. I don't know what that recent video is. Yes, I'm trying to write a new manual. We wrote the manual up for when it came to fat loss, simple, effective fat loss. Now we're doing simple, effective training. Bro, he worked out with Fonz and he currently only has like 18,000 followers on the talk. Well, to be fair, I'm also coaching Fonz, so. Are the manuals free? They are not. I gotta get my bag somehow. My goodness. But like these manuals are actually allowing me. So the nice thing about stuff like this is making things like this cost money is allowing me to spend more time with you guys and allowing me to take on less clients, which means that I can give more free info. So it's like everybody wins when I create digital products, because when I create digital products, I'm making money in the background, which means that I can spend more time creating content, going on live with you guys. Like it's like everybody ends up winning in that case. You got to promote them more, TBH. I know. I just don't want to seem too. I just don't want to seem too pushy. Work out with JP Lifts. He's chill and seems smarts. JP Lifts. Oh, the curly haired dude? Yeah, I'd work out with him. I see his stuff enough. Do you make any time for forearms? Not currently. Can you get gains or maintain muscle without weightlifting for 2 months using just calisthenics with backpacks with books to progressive overload? If you were not an advanced athlete, yes. If you were already an advanced lifter, you're not going to be able to, especially for things like legs, right? You are going to lose some. Why can't people tell that someone is using filters and lighting to look good and they look horrible without it? A lot of people just don't have the eye for it, right? They're just not used to, so like they haven't seen what filters look like relative to the person in person or like in a non-filtered setting. So like I would often laugh when I would see all these people calling certain influencers not natural, and I would look at the influencer and I'd be like, dude, that guy's like 155 pounds. Like, what are you talking about? And they'd be like, they're huge. I'm like, that's just a filter. My goodness. Like, use your brain. All of Hussein's really sus pics are filtered and have the best lighting ever. Yeah, I will say Hussein is a master with I honestly don't know how he does his photos. Right? Like his photos look insane. He said he wanted to work out with you too. Nice. Peeled equals not natty. Yeah, that, unfortunately, that is the way a lot of people go about things. Will I get a buzz cut? No, my head looks funny. You have a good day too, T. Lopez. Thoughts on steps not being considered cardio? It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. It's like if we're talking about in terms of fat loss, then all that matters is that you're inducing the deficit that you need in order to lose fat. So whether that comes from steps, whether that comes from cardio, it's completely up to you. But it's like, obviously you have to keep things consistent in order to monitor things over time. So it really doesn't matter. Obviously they're not the same thing. Steps is not the same thing as like more intense cardio. I don't even know how you could argue against that. Why can you do shrugs after T-bar, but Monday can't? I don't know. Oh, shoot, that was close. That was almost a front double buy there. Best split for 4 times a week. Man, it's up to you. I really like this whole like best split thing needs to die. It really does. If you wanted to do full body every other day, hey, look, that's 3, possibly 4 times in a week, depending on how you go about it. If you wanted to do upper, lower, boom, you got to split. You want to do full body, upper, lower, you got to split. Like, it's just, you guys are way too fixated on the wrong things. I think I should make it a rule that anybody who asks me, who uses the words best split, should be automatically blocked. I should make a function where if the words best and split appear together in the same comment for somebody, then they're automatically blocked. Thoughts on Karl Marx? I mean, I'm not a Marxist, if that's what you're asking. Best banana split recipe. I don't even have a banana split recipe, let alone a best one. Bro's on his Paul Carter arc. No. I am not I do not block enough people for that. What's your advice for young lifters trying to get into scientific training? I honestly, I mean, be open to learning. I think often what happens is kids who want to get into scientific learning when it comes to the gym, they do it for the wrong reasons. They do it, one, because they think that it'll somehow there's a couple different things, right? One, they think it'll make more difference than it does. In terms of knowing the minutia, they think it'll make more of a difference than it does. And 2, they use it to try and beat other people over the head with the knowledge that they have, in spite of the lack of experience and the lack of muscle that they have. And I'm not a fan of that. So be open, be willing to learn, and then take information from everywhere, and then actually think through positions, not just based on some creator saying something, but because of why that creator says it and where it came from. Start to actually develop your own thought processes. How do you know if your overall fatigue from lifting is hindering your progress? Are you getting stronger over time? If you're not getting stronger over time, then something is stopping you. This is part of what I mean about people often just overthinking it, right? Like, are you progressing on relatively stable lifts? If you're progressing on relatively stable lifts, it's a pretty good indication that you're growing. Why didn't you go on peptides for your knee? Was because you wouldn't be natty? Yep. It's the only reason. I'm not saying that as a joke either. That is literally the only reason. I like competing in natural organizations. I have no intention of getting rid of my ability to compete in natural organizations. Show us Stormbreaker. Oh, fine. Fine. Make me get up. Ugh. All right. Hey, Trey, I'm just going to let you know right now, if you don't stop, I'm going to block you, so. All right, Stormbreaker. Here. Pretty cool, right? Ugh. How much did that set you back? Nothing, because by the time I bought it, I'd already made the money back. Do you actually have autism, or is it a marketing thing? I don't think I have autism now. That was a joke, by the way. I'm not the the whole like that I made it back by the time I bought it. Like, that was a joke. Yes, I know Tyler Wilson. How do you know Tyler Wilson? Tyler and I went to high school together. And Tyler, last I knew Tyler was a very skinny kid. And then I saw a post from him a little bit out of high school. And I was like, dang, bro got jacked. That's my boy. I'm from Nova Scotia. He lives in Nova Scotia now? What? I just assumed he was still in Ontario. Look majestic with this lighting. I appreciate that. Do you think it's too fatiguing training full body the same day as another sport like MMA? Full body 3 times, MMA 5 times a week? It's tough. It's tough. If you're actually trying to do both, if you're actually trying to do both to the best of your abilities, that's really tough. Figure it out, turtle. Figure what out? Who wins, me or Logan Paul in a bodybuilding competition? I'm going to be completely honest. I have no idea what Logan Paul's physique looks like. Like, I legitimately have no idea. Is logbooking overrated or underrated in your opinion? Would you ever consider telling someone not to logbook? So logbooking is, I would say it's underrated by a lot of people. And it mostly comes down to how well you remember things. Because if you don't remember things well, then logbooking is incredibly helpful. But if you remember your lifts really, really well, then putting it in an arbitrary log is not going to make that much of a difference, if any. I'm not talking to you, you lemon. How am I supposed to know? Put a name before it. Do you FW, the Noble Natties. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't know who all is in the Noble Natties. Isn't that like Alex Leonidas and GVS? I think those two are in there. Those are like those are the only ones I know. I put the name before it. Guy's name is Turtle. Yeah, you can see how that would be confusing. Can you react to vids on stream? I don't know how to do that. I mean, I'm sure I could, but I currently I don't know how to do that. Bald Omni-Man, Natural Hypertrophy, and GVS. I mean, I know all of those guys. Or at least I know of them. I mean, I'm not going to agree with them on everything, but I'm sure they don't agree with each other on everything. Thoughts on immobilization study? I mean, you just have to understand things in context. I don't think people realize immobilization studies are still helpful for figuring things out. They just don't understand the limitations. Thoughts on front double buy? You do not talk about the front double buy. Rule of TNF Army, number 1. You do not talk about the front double buy. Is it true that you should always be in a surplus to build muscle? I mean, no, you don't need to be. Okay, Unc, I'm going to study Love You Bye. What is SAR? What is SAR? Where is that currency from? But goodbye. With this techno disability, I'm sorry. Sorry, it's not my area. Saudi? Gotcha. Have you already talked about preferentially biasing the lats? I've talked about it quite a few times. Yeah. So my general opinion on it is do what you need to do. And if you don't know what you need to do, then just do both. Very, very simple. Big fan. You remind me of Askeladd from Vinland Saga. I get that one a lot. Until which point do you recommend to choose an exercise you like above an exercise that is much more effective? Yeah, that's all preference. It's all just you. You have to decide that for yourself. I mean, I'm just not an emotional person, so I don't really get attached to exercises the way most people do. I'm like, is this exercise going to be the best for growth? Yeah. Great. I'm doing it. You look different on this camera, bruh. What does that mean? What does that mean? Ugh. Why bro looks like a grown-up kid? I have no idea what that means. I feel like, isn't every adult a grown-up kid? I keep forgetting you're a boomer. It can be easy to forget. No, I'm not in Canada anymore. Top 3 exercises of all time. I don't know. There is none. How old am I? Too old. Too old. TNF, big fan. Can you say hi? I can say hi. Hi, Nico. What's the ideal way to get healed from tennis elbow? I'm the wrong person to ask. I know I used to have, I think it was tennis elbow. I can never remember the difference between tennis and golfer's elbow. But what I would do is I would just do exercises like this, where I was just doing this. And honestly, I did that for a few weeks and it fixed it completely. But yours might be a lot more severe. You seem like you're never sad. I'll get sad from time to time. Thank you, Alex. Oh my goodness, you guys gotta slow down. I can't read this fast. Why sad? I'm not sad. What is your current favorite muscle group to train? I don't have one. How many pounds of natural muscle do you think you have left in the tank? I'm hoping over 5. If I could get over 5 in the rest of my life, I would be incredibly happy. But would you ever collab with Wes Huff? I would love to collab with Wes Huff. That'd be fun. How can we elevate myops past 48 hours? Don't worry about it. Do you believe in natural limits? I believe in all limits. Everything has a limit. You need mods, man. I'll have to set it up at some point. First thing you would do with your newborn son, assess his bodybuilding genetics? Of course. What would you do? What would you do? Didn't you mention that you were going to do an experiment like Jeff Nippard? I am not like, I mean, I do experiments on myself all the time, but I guess it would depend on what you mean by like Jeff Nippard. I'm not doing the same experiment, but I do experiments on myself all the time. No way all you have left is 5 pounds. Will that really make you look that different? 5 pounds of muscle when lean makes a massive difference. Like the fatter you are, the less of a difference you'll notice, but when you get lean, it's very noticeable. Thoughts on Keenan flaps? I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be good. How long you been married? I have been married now for 8.5 years. Is 1.5 frequency enough for good growth? I mean, yes. It's like I think people have got so caught up in the minutia that they assume like, oh, if you're not training at least 2 times a week, then you're not going to grow. I don't see any evidence to suggest that. So 1.5 times a week, I think, is enough to grow. But obviously, there's going to be people arguing that you should be having a higher frequency than that to maximize growth. Why are your comments always so unfunny? I have no idea. You were married at 22? Yep. 1.5 hokey atrophy? Nope. And that's the thing people don't get. With 1.5 times frequency, assuming you actually do things with good intensity and you do things appropriately, you will get great growth. How do I know this? Because I've done 1.5 times frequency before, while being a more advanced athlete, and still got great growth. You have an AI face? I don't even know what that means. All right, it's JP lifts weights. Someone DM'd me saying you'd hit a lift. Let's make it happen. Writing this message off as a business expense. No, I just wanted to get your money, man. So I refuse. I don't want to get a lift with you. You can bill me. We'll pay you back for that. Will running 3 to 4 miles on my rest day kill my gains? Depends on how hard you run those miles, but yes, it will probably, to some extent, hinder your gains. I challenge you to do a heavy kettlebell complex. I have no desire. I've done enough functional training in my years of being an athlete to last me a lifetime. I have no desire to train like that again. Do you believe that some muscles respond better to more volume? Is there a possibility that that could happen? Yes. But I think once you start trying to manage volume on that kind of level, you're so far into majoring in the minors that you're probably not being as productive as you could be because you're trying to make things too nuanced. Right? So is it possible? Yes, especially with exercise, especially with certain muscle groups that are going to grow very well from short position movements, right? Those could probably handle more volume. But if you are spending your time thinking about that super hard, it's you're probably getting pretty far into the weeds at that point. What stopped you from training like that? My frontal lobe developed. Why aren't you on full body every other day? Aren't you not convinced it's the best? No, I'm not convinced it's the best. I think intersession fatigue is overplayed. So I don't think you need to have a rest day in between every training session. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm not saying that you can't get good results doing it. I just don't think it's necessary. I would rather be in the gym more often. My PE teacher said that micro tears are what cause muscle growth. It's crazy that this is still being taught in senior PE. I mean, yeah, they're not hypertrophy experts. They're just people that got a phys ed degree. You have to think about it differently. It's like they're not they're not they're they're not trained in hypertrophy specifically. 4 times a week is not often, in my opinion, no. Also, full body every other day wouldn't be technically 4 times a week. It would be 3 times a week and 4 times a week. So half the time it would be 3 times, half the time it would be 4 times. Isn't myops elevated for around 48 hours, meaning doing a higher frequency is going to be counterproductive? No. What? No. Oh, gosh. It's specific to muscle groups. .5 times frequency. I know. So half the time 3, half the time 4. What do you believe to a lower bound regarding protein intake for regular trainees? Honestly, I think if you're trying to go with the lower bound, then you've got the wrong mentality towards protein. I think you should be trying to maximize. So if your thinking is surrounding what's the lowest I can get away with, you're viewing protein wrong. What are you thinking about Keenan flaps, King? I mean, they should be good. There's not really a solid reason for Keenan flaps to not be good. However, I think a lot of people, when I watch them perform them, the way they do them, I'm like, that does not look solid. Your execution just looks bad. So if your execution was good, I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be a good exercise. Well, yes, I meant more for someone like my mother. Well, just tell her a high number. Then you don't have to worry about it. Can't tell if bro was trolling or not, and you'll never be able to tell. Deadpan is the way to go. People say quads recover quickly, but they always get sorest out of any muscle groups for me. So soreness and recovery are not entirely linked. I think there's been this. I think there's been this misconception that whether a muscle group gets sore or not is going to determine whether it's recovered. But soreness and recovery are not. We view them as the same. They're not the same. So even though your quads get sore, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not recovering as fast as other muscle groups. Like, you think about it this way, right? If you hit your biceps and they don't get sore, does that mean that you should hit them again tomorrow? No. You wouldn't view them as recovered even though they weren't sore. Right? It's the same thing with other muscle groups. So if you're only viewing recovery by soreness, you're viewing recovery wrong. Is soreness directly linked to protein intake? No. You look like Tony Cruz. I actually used to get that one a lot. I haven't not heard that in a long time. Thoughts on basement bodybuilding? I'm not sure if I'm thinking of the same person or not, but if I'm thinking of the same person, I've only seen like maybe 1 or 2 videos of his. Why is 4 to 8 reps better than 8 to 12? If 4 to 8 is better from a stimulus to fatigue ratio standpoint, then why does everyone say 8 to 12 is better for hypertrophy? Do you want the reason why everybody says 8 to 12 is better? Because they're sheep. Sheep don't know how to think. Sheep just do what they're told. That's why they think 8 to 12 is better. No, that doesn't mean you can't get great results with 8 to 12. You absolutely can. Like, you can get fantastic results with 8 to 12. And this is where the conversation is unfortunately being missed by both parties. So what happens is somebody says 8 to 12 is best for muscle growth. And then somebody else says, you're an idiot. 8 to 12 won't grow good muscle. 4 to 8 will grow muscle. And it's like, they'll both grow muscle. I low-key like being a sheep, though. Less nuance. Hey, at least you're honest. At least you're honest. How do you learn so much about biomechanics and hypertrophy? So it's the same way that most people get decent at any area. Typically what happens is if you're very interested in an area, you like to learn about it. So what will happen is you'll go out of your way to see other people talking about it, and you'll go out of your way to figure out how you can learn more about it. So when I see somebody talk about something that's kind of interesting, I don't just say, oh, that's interesting. What I do is I say, okay, well, how'd they come to that conclusion? How can I figure out whether that conclusion is right or not? And how could this possibly apply to other areas as well? And is there information regarding that? right? So it's like it's a step-by-step process, but if you don't have an actual love for it, your ability to learn the topic is going to be pretty limited because you're just not going to care that much. Best adductor exercise? The adductor machine is probably going to be your best bet. Is it okay to hit cardio right after weight training? You can do it, but I'm just not a big fan of it, to be honest. Sorry if you've mentioned this before, but can you give a quick summary on your principles for beginner training? Sure. So my principles for a beginner training. Try to hit a muscle group more than once in a week if you can. I think 2 is perfectly adequate. I think when people start to do 3 times per week programming, they often just don't do it in a very effective format to start. Often they're not recovering properly, or they're like overlapping things that they shouldn't be overlapping. You can if you want to, but personally, I think 2 is more than enough. I would make sure that I'm hitting a variety of muscle groups over the course of that week, specifically focusing on the muscle groups that are a little bit larger. So what you'd be looking at is you'd be looking at trying to focus a little bit more on chest development, back development, quad development, hamstring development, right? If you're doing a lot of exercises for those muscle groups, you're going to be doing pretty well for yourself. Obviously, you can go full out and train every single muscle group possible in the beginning, but it's not one of those things where you should be overthinking it. Then try to progress those exercises over time. And then as you want to get more and more specific, you want to look at to get to, and you can always start with stable exercises as well. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get more and more specific with your training. So it's like, okay, well, I want this X muscle group to grow. All right, how can I isolate it as severely as possible in order to get it to grow? So something like the side delt, right? You might be doing pressing for the side for the delts in general, but then you're like, hey, I want my side delt to be quite a bit bigger. It doesn't really make sense at that point for you to neglect lateral raises. You're doing pull downs and you're like, hey, but I want my biceps to be bigger. It doesn't really make sense at that point to neglect preacher curls, right? Like there's always these exercises that you can do that are highly stable that are going to focus in a little bit more on those muscle groups. But do you absolutely have to do them in the beginning in order to get good gains? No. You could get great gains just doing like pull downs, presses, squats, squatting patterns, I should say, leg curls, leg extensions, calf raises, rows. And honestly, if you did those exercises, you would actually get really, really good results for the first year, 2 years of lifting without really even needing to focus in anymore. But it's like obviously if you want to get into like the depths of things right off the bat, you could try to, but it's not necessary. Can you delve deeper into squatting patterns? I just mean something that involves a knee bend and a hip bend, right? So if you do a squat, then you're going to involve your quads, your adductors, and your glutes to a pretty heavy extent. So if you're doing a movement that has you bending at both the knee joint and the hip joint, you're going to hit quite a few muscle groups at once. Is hitting the gym 4 times? Oh, shucks. Sorry, that just went really fast. I missed it. Does training calves negatively affect agility in sports? Not as long as you're doing what you need to as far as your actual agility goes. So, like, training calves is not going to be a negative as long as you're also doing plyometric based movements. Why you don't like to leg press? It's never been a big fan. I find that there's better exercises for the quads and better exercises for the glutes. Now, if I wanted to hit my glutes in a bit more at a bit more length, then like a high foot leg press would actually be pretty darn solid. Is it okay to do both incline bench and shoulder press on my upper days? You can. Yeah. Dro is everywhere at once, bro. Yeah. I love you too. How often should I refeed on a cut? That's really up to you. Some people do it more often than others. Most of it's for mental though, so if you find yourself needing a refeed all the time while cutting, then you're probably not cutting properly. Calves sets per week, same as any other muscle group. No reason for it to be different. How many rest days a week should people be taking? It's up to you, really. You can take anywhere from 3 to 4. I think if you're taking more than 4 rest days in a week, you're probably not super serious about your training. But I also don't think that you need to be taking 3 or 4 rest days the way that a lot of people are saying right now. I think a lot of people can do just fine with 2 rest days a week. So if you like being in the gym, I think you can do fine with 2 rest days a week. And some people can recover well enough that they'll even do well on 6 days a week. But that's going to be individual dependent. Breathe more. It's a BP issue. I have no idea what you're saying. Are you talking to me or somebody else? Is training 6 days in a row too much in terms of fatigue? I mean, I do it. So it'd be very hypocritical of me to say that there are people that can't train 6 times a week. How do you feel about GVS training style? I honestly don't know everything he does. So you'd have to ask me more about specific things than just saying his training style. Do you train the way you enjoy or the way you think is optimal? I mean, I try to blend the two if possible. Did you take a look at what happened with Greg Doucette and Anabolic Stick? Thoughts on Greg Doucette character? I mean, I saw the back and forth, but I don't know, man. I'm just like, Anabolic Stick didn't really provide anything that I didn't already know, and Greg didn't do a very good job arguing for Hussein. So it's not really. I was like waiting for like some bomb to drop that I hadn't heard before, but it was nothing like really new. Honestly, I'm not sure why that blew up out of nowhere. What's your opinion on the importance of frequency? It's overplayed by some and underplayed by others. So I think that the science-based community is very much overplaying frequency. That's why you see the massive arguments between like 3 times per week versus 2 times per week. And I think the bros are completely, or some bros that I've seen are completely downplaying the conversation to the point where they're like, 1 time per week is just as good, if not better. And I'm like, okay, well, you'd have to be pretty hard to make that argument. So what you have to, what you have to take a look at is who are you talking about and what are their opinions and how are you coming to your own opinion? So for me personally, I think the 3 times frequency is being overplayed. I don't think that there's a massive difference between 2 times per week versus 3 times per week. I'm not even saying there's not a difference, but I just don't think it's massive if it's there. So I think most of you guys are going to be able to just choose, do I want to train a muscle group 2 times per week or 3 times per week? And then just go from there. My friend won't stop talking about optimal training, but he stays small. How do I fix him? Well, I mean, is he just talking about optimal training or is he doing optimal training? Sent you a DM, my bad. My intent wasn't at all to come off as self-promoting. I didn't take it that way. It's all good, man. I didn't take it that way. No, I'd love to get a workout in. Let me know when you're in Houston. What body fat percent do you start seeing striations? It really depends on the person and the body part. It's not a set answer. Bro, you make a video about it, the Keenan flaps. What? Are you asking me to make a video about the Keenan flaps? I have not played Elden Ring. Is 10 to 20 sets per week optimal? Yeah, 20 is just a lot. Like, here's my general take on that. If you are training in such a format that you need to get up to 20 sets in order to grow muscle well, I think you're doing something significantly wrong. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do 20 sets and grow, but if you feel the need to go up to 20 sets in order to grow, I question what you're doing with those 18 sets. You know what I mean? Like, that is a lot of sets for an individual muscle group. I'm like, okay, I feel like there's something else missing here if you feel the need to go up to 20 sets. Why am my chest growing bigger from the outside only? Well, I would assume that it's going to grow bigger from the inside too, so not really sure what that means. How can I work around an adductor injury? Unilateral joint movements. Whenever I see people, they're like, oh, I injured my adductor. How do I work around it? Just do any exercise that doesn't cause pain and go hard at that exercise. It is as simple as that. If an exercise causes it pain, don't do it. My friend trains his muscles 5 times a week and he says he's progressing good. How is this possible? Because crazy thing to find out. Very, very hard thing for people to figure out. For some reason in the science-based community, you can progress while doing things that are suboptimal. I know it's a crazy concept, but you can progress while doing things that are not perfectly optimal. Hussein is 100% on gear, right? I mean, no. Like, the whole, like, 100%. No. You can take a look at what available evidence there is and come to a conclusion on your own as to whether you think it is, but anybody who says that they're, like, absolutely certain on things, I'm like, no, you're not. You just have a strong opinion. The smarter you are, the less you're 100% about a lot of things. Let's put it that way. Now, you can be heavily leaning towards something without saying 100%, but you got to do some reaction content. I started doing reaction content. I think I've done 2 reaction videos in the last little while. I did one on Jeff Nippard's stuff, and I did the other on influencers winning pro cards. Do you think people overtrain front delts or no? No. That doesn't count, man. What doesn't count? I'm not sure if you understood, but he trains each muscle 5 times frequency. No, I understood. I understood what you said. I meant on live. I don't even know what that means. What? I meant on live? You want me to react to things on live? How's that even work? Have you had any experience with hair loss? I have. like on live, you react to something. But how does it work? Is it like I stream it where you're seeing me react to it? Like we're all watching it together? And how does that work in terms of using that content for later? And what would I be reacting to? But like, basically what I'm asking is it like, what I'm asking is like, do we like set it up for a specific time so people know it's going to happen? Or is it just whoever happens to be here happens to be here? Like, why, like doing the reaction in real time? Like, why would I not just do the reaction on my own time? Like, I don't know why I don't, I feel like that's better because it can be edited and then it can be sharper. It just doesn't make sense for me to react to stuff on live, in my opinion. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I know you enjoy live content. I'm just saying the actual reaction stuff, it's much easier to like be organized and do things properly when I'm not having to figure things out on the fly. No, I think you guys are misunderstanding. I know what you're referring to. I'm just saying I don't think it's the best way to go about doing reaction content because it's very choppy and it's not refined. You can edit it after live. I understand that. I understand that. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Like I think you guys misunderstood what I was saying. I'm saying you guys legitimately want I was more so saying like this is like I was trying to make sure this is what you guys want because I don't think that that's a very good way of doing things. I just don't like that. I don't think that format would be the best way of going about things. Chat can ask questions that you put in the vid. I know. It just seems like it just I don't know. Maybe. Should we react to the Greg Doucette video live like right now? Like is that what you guys are referring to? Like you guys want me to react to it like right now? Mm, okay. Oh. All right. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe we should do that. Do you stream on OBS? Yes. Don't do it. He repeats the same thing. If you do, put it on 1.5 times speed. Karma paid me $5, so. All right, I'll scrub it a little bit. That way we don't have to like listen to the same thing over and over again too. But let's Hey Tori, do you think you could help me out with this? What'd you say? They said that I don't have to stop it. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, hand me the mouse.
All right.
Okay, let's see. If I...
Yeah, I got tech support.
And then if we
Jeez, why are you guys asking such long questions? I don't know how to help with your shoulder injury. I'm going to be completely honest with you. How much for tech support? I don't know. How much do I pay you?
I don't know.
I thought you had to do this stuff for taxes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not much.
It's not much. Why does everyone think you're a physiotherapist? That's a good question. I don't know. Can they still see me?
Yeah.
I can't see myself, so I wasn't sure if you guys could still see me. Are they seeing this screen too right now?
No.
You haven't shared it yet?
Oh, wow, it's delayed.
Oh, super delayed.
I don't know if mine's actually up to speed though. Okay, so
Sorry guys, I can't see your questions right now.
let's see.
Current stats. I'm in the high 190s, 5'9", and approximate body fat mid-teens. You will have a lot to edit, my guy. I'm gonna scrub it. I'm not gonna react to the entire thing because I've seen part of it, so I'm not gonna make you guys sit through him saying the same thing over and over again. Play it on 2 times speed. I'll play it. I'll play it at 1.5 times. 2 times is almost annoying, but I'll play it at 1.5.
No. It's not. How do I?
Is Mike Menser right about 30 to 45-minute workouts? Here's the thing. Why would you bother listening to somebody who's from 50 years ago talk about working out and base your opinion on that? Like, is Menser going to get some things right? Yes. But he's also going to get a lot of things wrong. So why not just realize that a lot of us have developed our processes over time, and rather than listening to a training philosophy that's 50 years old, just keep updating. Like, I would think it would be kind of dumb if 50 years from now you were listening to my training philosophies. I think that would be dumb. There's going to be smarter stuff by the time 50 years rolls around from now.
I don't know where it went. Why does it keep disappearing?
It's all right. If we can't do it,
I would have to take a lot of time to figure this out.
We can do it another time.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Thank you, though. Aren't all Ryan's videos 2 times speed? I don't think so. I think he just talks fast. In 50 years, I'll be listening to AI TNF preserved for all eternity. Crazy. Thank you does not pay the bills. Pay her. Why? She didn't do it. She didn't bring up the YouTube video. It's not her fault. But what am I paying for?
I mean, ask them. They might know.
I mean, I'm sure they do, but we can figure it out another time.
I can ask chat.
I know. Are you using OBS to stream? Yes.
And I hate it. Is there something better?
And Tori says she hates it. Is there something better?
Streamlabs better.
TNF Live, bro thinks he's in Streamer University or something. I don't know what that means. I'm crashing out here. All you need is a Windows capture and a video capture device. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah. I mean, I know that, but I don't know how to get the ratio so it would look good.
Oh, she's saying she doesn't know how to get the ratio to make it look good. They're saying stream my screen.
I don't know how to do that.
We don't know how to do that.
Well, I mean, I kind of know how to do that.
She kind of knows how to do that.
I want to do a split. Well, wait. Actually. Oh, wait. Duh. No, I know how to do this.
You know how to do it? All right. Apparently she knows how to do it.
I would just have to do that.
Ugh.
No, I got this. This is freaking easy.
Oh no.
Okay, let's.
Greg jump scare.
So then, if you hit. Did it work?
I don't know. You gotta watch that to see.
Oh,
it worked?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So wait. Let me.
You're gonna turn this on. Oh, but you might need headphones so it doesn't like have feedback.
Oh yeah, the feedback. Shoot.
You want to go get them?
Do you know how to make it work?
Yeah. Did you put it back on you?
Yeah.
Where are my headphones?
I don't know. Where'd you put them? Can we see Stormbreaker? It's right there. It's right there. Don't scam me. What are you talking about? Wait, who? PPL 6 on, 1 off is 18 sets to 0 RIR per session fine. Progressing fine and feel ready to go daily. Then keep going. But thanks for the money. Sets per muscle per week, every set to failure. I don't know your life. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how much you're splitting your muscle groups apart. I would say probably if you're getting a minimum of 4 sets for a muscle group, you're probably fine. And then you can build from there if you want to.
Oh, see, this is where the other monitor would probably come into play.
Why?
Because then you could have the chat up on the other one.
Or I can just read the chat from here.
Yeah, that's true.
Look at this. I can read the chat here.
Okay, they're connected. You have them in?
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
Hat is a pathological liar.
Can they hear it too?
Crap. Hold on, let me think about this.
Watch the Hussein reaction vid, not the Greg one, please. Wait. The Hussein reaction vid. Like Hussein made his own video?
Hussein Farhat is a pathological liar.
Oh, Hussein just posted a video 8 minutes ago.
Well, I know you can't see it. I haven't put it on. Okay, do you want to watch that one instead?
No.
You want to watch this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Let me just...
Hussein Farhat is a pathological liar.
Can you guys hear things fine?
And so I can't wait to tell you all the lies that Hussein Farhat has been spewing for years.
Good.
Video is not clickbait. The rise and fall of Hussein Farhat. Coach Greg, in today's video, the rise and fall of Hussein Farhat. I know that you're likely not gonna believe this, but Hussein Farhat has been outed. And so it truly saddens me to have to make this video. But there is, in fact, evidence, and lots of it, that Hussein has been scamming us all along. And so a very small channel has put all of the evidence together. And he has won. He's...
Okay, so this guy, he actually, I had never heard of him before. I watched the video that he presented on Hussein. And then I was like, oh, well, who is this guy? I went to some of his other content. He had me and Hussein on the same tier for being not natural. I was like, okay, well, now I don't trust you as much because clearly you didn't do your homework on me. Because if you have me on the same tier as Hussein, dude, I'm 30. I'm 30. I've been training forever. How do you have me on the same category as Hussein? It's like, that's insane. But let's watch anyways.
Beaten us. And so I'm going to play the video and show everything that he stated so that you can see once for all that Hussein is a pathological liar. He's been lying to all of us, even Coach Greg, for months and or years. Greg's crashing out harder than last time. He's not going to sue you. He knows how to make money on drama. It's his business model. He'll have a video about you by tomorrow. You're his new...
They were right. They were right. He does have a video on him. It might not be tomorrow, but 2 days ago, pretty much had a video on him by tomorrow.
Eddie Hall. I tried commenting about you on Greg's new video, but my comments are getting deleted, laughing my ass off. I mean, you guys have got me. Clearly, I go on all of my videos and I delete all of your comments. I've been trying to cover it up. After all, how many videos did I post today? 4, right? And so what I've been doing is I've been posting video after video today, trying to make the comments go away. I know I can't keep up with them. I can't delete
Too long.
them.
Nobody cares about this.
Naturally, within only 3 years.
And so the main lie is that he was natural in that transformation of which he put on close to 60 pounds in under 3 years. I mean, does that make any logical sense? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it sounds like the type of thing that only 1 in a million people could do. And so we know the odds are very, very slim. 1 in a million, it's not often that can happen. It happens 1 in a million. Maybe 37 people in all of our entire country could have done.
I really don't understand what his thing with 1 in a million is. Like I've watched part of this video already, and he says 1 in a million. I kid you not, like 50 times in this video. It might be more. Like if somebody can go through and count how many times he actually said 1 in a million. And it is just over and over and over again. It's like, just because you say it's 1 in a million doesn't mean you actually have something to back that up. Just say rare. Just say rare. Like if it's going to happen, it's going to be very, very rare. But you don't know the numbers. You have no idea what the numbers are.
done it. And half those people are old, half are babies, and so it's very rare. Not many people could do it. Are we clear on that? Okay, we're all on the same page. Hard to do that transformation. 1 in a million.
And this is cookbook salesman and IFBB pro Greg Doucette, who has been helping Hussein perpetuate this lie for his own gain.
And so I had to make a video saying he was natural because in the blood work, it showed that he was natural. I didn't want to lie to my audience. I mean, I thought he was a fake natty. I looked at his physique and said, there's no way. 1 in a million chance. And then I got the blood work and I said 1 in a million. But this guy, he proves that he was actually not 1 in a million.
In this video,
See, this doesn't make any sense to me because it's like everything I have ever seen from Greg, everything I've ever seen from Greg is like one-time blood work doesn't mean anything. Like I don't know if the tune has changed, but everything I have seen from Greg up to this point has been you can't do it based off one piece of blood work. And then yet we have it here where it's, oh, he sent blood work, so natural. I'm like, that doesn't really make sense in my opinion, but continue.
I'll be explaining how and why Greg went from calling Hussein out on being a fake natty to helping him lie to everyone about being natural and even making him a co-owner of Greg's own supplement company in the process.
And so clearly what happened is I lied, covered up his lie, put him as co-owner as part of my HDLT company in order to make millions and millions of dollars. And it worked until today.
He also talks about how Hussein didn't gain a single fat cell while putting on 60 pounds of lean contractile tissue. This goes far beyond any body recomposition that any new lifter in the gym can pull off.
Yeah, it's like only 1 in a million can do it. It's weird. It's like only 1 in a million could do it.
There's the 1 in a million again. But I don't actually buy this whole like body recomposition thing. And the reason I don't buy it is because it's not really as much body recomposition as people are making it out to be. Because one, those pictures are highly, highly edited. He is not nearly as lean as he looks in those photos. Like people look at those photos like, oh, like he's like 6%, 7% body fat. He's not that lean. Like I get that he has some vascularity and stuff like that. But if you see in brighter light, no filters, he's not shredded. And then the other thing you got to take into account is if you gain muscle and you don't gain fat in the process, your body fat percent will actually get lower. I know it's like it doesn't sound like you. Oh no, they lost fat. He didn't necessarily lose fat if his muscle just grew in a proportionate amount to which his fat levels didn't actually increase, but that will actually lower your body fat percent over time because you have more relative muscle to the fat. So they're acting like he was like losing fat and building muscle like simultaneously, like these crazy. I don't see it, right? He didn't have that much fat on him to begin with. He just didn't have much muscle. So as he gains more muscle, his body fat percent is going to go down. So it's not as big of a difference as people are making it out to be, but obviously clicks, views, they're going to blow that up.
It's as if all the stuff that Greg said is actually accurate and that it's extremely rare. Like hardly anyone could do it. Like 1 in a million.
Oh my gosh.
If you're watching this, the
1 in a
chances of you
million.
pulling off a Hussein had probably put on 10 or 15 pounds more muscle than this guy. No one could do that. He wins. I mean, the video could end right here, right? I mean, he just proved that Hussein Farhat is not natural because he...
Okay, this was one of the few, I haven't seen the whole video, so I should be a little bit careful. But this is one of the few things that Greg brought up that I thought was actually a solid point. If he'd brought up more stuff like this, I thought that would be better for him. Which was, this YouTuber said, well, I've been on a muscle building journey and I did this and Hussein did this much better than me, therefore, which I think is a really, really poor line of logic because obviously we all know people can do the exact same training regimen. They can have similar diets and you can see some people just grow lots more muscle than others. So to use yourself as an example and be like, well, couldn't do it, therefore this part, it doesn't really make sense. And I thought that was actually a really good point that Greg brought up because I've seen people who have trained naturally who have made the same type of progress that I've made over the course of like a decade within like 3 to 4 years. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the case for everybody. Obviously, they have to have very, very good genetics to do it, but people gain muscle at different rates. And that is a good point that he brought up there.
He put on more muscle than this guy. I mean, this guy has the best genetics in the world. No one could put on more muscle than this guy. And so anyone that puts on more muscle than him clearly is a fake natty. Your IQ is, let's say, 160. Drugs. It indicates it. It suggests it. Unless you had like, I don't know, what was that number again? 1 in a million odds.
Hussein tries to play it off as if he made 17 years worth of gains in only 17 months. It's quite frankly insulting that he even tries to lie about being natural.
Yes, it's insulting that he would even try about being natural. I mean, unless he's a 1 in a millionaire, because like I'm a 1.8 percenter.
I can't do the 1.8 millions. Sorry, the 1 in a millions. I can't do it. Can't do it. Let's skip ahead further. play here.
64 pounds with the same amount of body fat, you'd be saying, whoa, what happened? How did you lose all that muscle? That would indicate bro is not natural.
Correctly calling David Lade a fake natty, but insisting that his own physique transformation was done naturally when his is more impressive than what David Lade was able to do in that time frame is just so shameless.
Yeah, but the difference is David Lade literally admitted that he's taking peptides. And he also put on, I think it was 80 pounds on his bench press when he was a teenager. And he's weaker now in his 20s than he was in his teens. And so since when do teenagers get stronger and peak as teens and get weaker into their 20s? And so if David Lade had continued to get bigger, put on more muscle and get bigger, well, you'd say, hey, he's just perhaps 1 in a million.
After all of this, something changed, because Hussein sent Greg a singular blood panel.
Exactly. Everything changed when I looked at his blood work, of which you can trace back for likely about 3 months. If it had been just a drug test, he could have just stopped taking whatever he was taking. And so, for example, if he had stopped taking Anavar, which might only stay in his system for 3 weeks, or stopped taking Test Pro, perhaps only a couple of weeks, he could have cycled off. But remember, he did the blood test a day or 2 later. He didn't have time to cycle off. We have to conclude.
That's probably the strongest argument that Greg has on his side. The strongest argument Greg has is when he sought out the blood work from Hussein, it came fast. That is a much better argument than the majority of arguments that can be made in this case. Like the whole 1 in a million, blah, 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 like, oh, he's just great genetic. I don't think that's a very good argument at all. Just because of the fact that if you apply that to him, then why wouldn't you just apply that to everybody? Like, oh, that person's a 1 in a billion. That person's a 1 in a 7 billion. It just, you don't really want to apply that logic. But the fact that he was able to get the blood work back so fast is a good indication, at least for his end, and something that he can use. But then, you know, like you'll have people that will say, oh, well, the blood work was doctored, or like somebody else did the blood work for him. And like, so this is where it gets all muddled, right? It's not, it wouldn't be hard for somebody to fake the blood work. And I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, well, he sent blood work, therefore good. I can't do that with a clear conscience, because obviously blood work can be faked. It's just the way it is. So the part of the problem that you deal with this stuff is it's very much a he said type situation. It's like, oh, well, he said that he is natural. Oh, well, he built 60 pounds of muscle in this period of time, and most naturals can't do that, or no naturals can do that. It's like, I don't necessarily think that somebody can't go from like 120 pounds to 180 pounds in the course of a few years of their first lifting. I think there would have to be a lot of extenuating circumstances in order to make it happen. But whether those circumstances are there or not is hard to know. So like, for example, I've seen people legitimately go from being like 110 pounds to like 170 and not put on a lot of fat in that process, simply because of the fact that they were significantly under eating when they were 110 pounds. So they were almost like, they had great genetics, but they were just holding themselves back because they ate so little, and they were just a string bean. And then oh, I'm going to finally pick up the fork and start lifting. And then they gain over the course of like a few years, a lot of size, but it's because they were actively holding themselves back from that size. So is that the case with Hussein? I don't know, but I did meet with Hussein in person. And this is the other thing that I try whenever like I'm taking a look at whether somebody's natural or not, or like trying to figure out if I think that it might be possible. Part of the problem is I've met Hussein in person, and I was bigger than Hussein. Objectively, I know like you had, oh, you're not bigger. No, objectively, I was bigger than him. He was 180 pounds. I was 190 pounds. I had as good, if not better definition than him at the time. He is taller than me, right? Like, so technically speaking, I have more muscle mass on my frame than Hussein. And I know what I've done to get to the point where I am, which is not gear. So it's like, when you start accusing, it's like, okay, really all we are looking at is not somebody who is oversized. It's just the amount of size in the amount of time. That is really the crux of the argument, because getting to that size naturally is 100% possible. You can throw the overall, what do you call it? Numbers up here if you want to, Austin. I'll probably check it after the fact for you. But FFMI wise, I think Hussein is only like 23, right? And I know FFMI is not like proof of natural status or anything like that, but it's very, very common for naturals to have 20s in the 20s FFMI. Obviously, the higher it gets, the less likely, but 23 is not even, and this is not to be mean at all, it's not even like a peak natural, right? Like we're not talking about a person who has muscle mass to compete at the top level of natural bodybuilding, right? And like obviously that is probably a big part of that is because of the fact that Hussein's legs aren't quite as big as a lot of other natural athletes, but you can be genetically blessed in certain areas which make you look like an enhanced athlete, right? So if you took and you said, okay, Hussein, we're going to take the genetics that you have for building your chest and we're going to take that away from you. We're going to give you a small chest. And what we're going to do instead is we're going to put those genetics that you have towards your chest, towards your hamstrings. I promise you, he would not be getting gear accusations at that point because he was just not genetically blessed in that area. But being genetically blessed in the chest and shoulders is like, that is the look that people look at and they're like, oh, that's enhanced, right? That's the look that people go for when they think enhanced. It's just very, very like appealing to us. And it's very visually impactful. But if you take a look at his back, if you take a look at his legs, if you take a look at his arms, none of those features have to be enhanced from a visual perspective, but from an overall muscle mass perspective, all I'm trying to say is it's dicey territory because he is not peak natural size-wise. Now, he is peak natural time frame wise, okay? So don't get it twisted. I'm not saying we're not dealing with crazy good genetics. I'm just saying he's not as big as the biggest guys on natural bodybuilding stages. I know that was a lot of yap, but thanks for tuning in.
100% natural.
I really need to update so that I'm not...
So that's it, right? Hussein milled Greg's blood work,
Yeah,
Greg
I do need
analyzed it,
YouTube
and it all checked
Premium.
out. Hussein is 100% natty. Wrong.
Why does he say wrong? When I made that video, I said Hussein is natural right now. At least for the 3 months prior to that, we know he was natural because if he wasn't, it would have been proven in his blood work. Now, does that mean he couldn't have been on steroids when he was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21? Nope. It doesn't prove any of that. And so is it in fact possible that Hussein Farhat went on steroids the first day he joined the gym and stopped at least 3 months before doing the blood work? Absolutely, of course it's possible. He's not on these things. He's clearly natural. Based on the blood work, based on the evidence, this guy...
That's the best concession that Greg could make right there. Because at that point, he's pretty much covered his bases. He's like, okay, I don't think he was unnatural at the time of the blood work. He's like, but could he have been unnatural before that? Sure. It's like, I mean, that is honestly, like, if we were to sum up everything about this conversation, that should be the take. That should be the take that everybody has, right? It should be, okay, like maybe he took blood work and at the time of the blood work, we couldn't detect anything within the system, but it's possible that this person was unnatural beforehand, right? Because that could, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't just stick to that, right? I feel like that's probably your best bet if you're trying to be 100% objective about a situation. Now, I know they run a business together and everything, they're friends. It's going to be hard to be 100% objective, and I don't even necessarily blame the person for that. It is hard to be completely objective, but a lot of the arguments that I have seen against Hussein are the same types of arguments that Greg has leveled against other influencers in the past. And so I think there is a lot of conflict here, if I'm being completely honest. It's going to be very, very hard for Greg to be objective in this circumstance.
Guy, 1 in a million genetics. What I said is, Hussein Farhat, you have to think he's 100% natural. Now, if he had stopped taking steroids, SARMs, whatever, 3 months prior to doing that blood work, would it not make sense that he would have lost muscle leading into the test? Now, here's how it works when you take steroids. SARMs, anything. While you're on them, you put on a shit ton of muscle and strength. Your body is here, and you take steroids, and it goes up very, very quickly. It's insane. You're so strong and so huge.
That's what she said.
And then when you stop taking the steroids, your body, it regresses, and you get weaker. But at the time of the blood work, his body hadn't regressed. And so I'm thinking, well, he's been natural for 3 months, he has all this muscle, and so how am I supposed to explain this? And so I said, you know what would really shut people up? If you entered a drug-tested bodybuilding competition and literally won the competition. And if you offered $50,000 to anyone to come and test you at any time during the year. Don't care if it's Monday.
I don't know why they don't just stick with this, to be completely honest. Take a look right now. Take a look at this physique right here. The way it is right here. Okay, let's go through.
If you offered
Okay, wait
bodybuilding
for
competition
it,
and literally won the competition.
and boom. Okay, let's take a look at that right there. Obviously, genetically gifted chest, shoulders, but the rest of the physique doesn't look nearly as insane as the photos that he posts. Take a look at the legs. Like, he clearly does not have well-developed legs for a natural. They're on their way, but they're not anything crazy. They're not anything special. So I honestly, I really, really struggle with this, because I take a look at this from a bodybuilding perspective, and I take a look and I say, the guy has crazy good chest, crazy good shoulders, and maybe a little bit of upper traps as well. And that gives him the enhanced look, right? But if you take a look at the other body parts, they're not that special, if I'm being completely honest. Now, really, it just comes down to time frame. And then you can just say the one in a million, one in a million, one in a million. It's like, you can say that as much as you want, but if you're going to do that, you have to remain consistent for everybody else. And a lot of people that Greg has called unnatural due to time frames have made as much progress as Hussein, or less progress than what Hussein has made. So he'd have to go back through almost and start looking at all of those other ones as well, and be like, oh, well, maybe I wasn't right about this person. Maybe I wasn't right about this person. I feel like that would just take up a lot of his time, but you would almost have to do that to remain consistent.
To come and test you at any time during the year. Don't care if it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, anytime. And so a number of times we wrote this. Hey, tell us where to go, we'll show up. No one took him up on his offer. $50,000. I mean, if you're sure he's going to fail the drug test, why not take him up on the offer? What's it going to cost you? $1,000 and you're going to make 50? But then the excuses are, I'm a poor student, I can't afford to drug test Hussein. Then find someone who can. Call up Togi right now. Get on the phone. Everyone message Togi. He's a gambling man. Togi, if you can prove that Hussein...
I'm going to be honest here. This one's a bit of I'm not a fan of that, simply because like, most people don't just want to give you $1,000, right? Like, if he called me up and he's like, hey, give me $1,000 so I can test who's, I'm probably going to say no. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm like, no, this is my money. you do it yourself. Like, it's like money grubbing in order to test somebody else doesn't really make sense. Now, I mean, sure, maybe you could make the investment and think, okay, might be worth it in the long run for me to make this investment, but just asking somebody to lay $1,000 down at any time, like asking that person specifically, who we already know is a broke college student, Greg, front him the money at that point, right? I mean, go ahead, Greg, you front him the money. I think that would make more sense in this circumstance.
Farhad is not natural, you win 100 bandos. And so when Hussein dieted for this competition and won, if he had been natural this entire time, remember, he had cycled off, would he have not have lost all of his muscle while dieting? Or not perhaps all, but a lot of it? Did you not see his crazy strided triceps? Bro was peeled. If he was on steroids to get that physique and then went 100% natural, how did he maintain all of that muscle?
Greg throws skepticism out of the window and instantly accepts a singular blood panel as proof of natty status. Do you see the contradiction?
Did I not say anyone can come test him at any time? And why do you think I told him to do drug-tested competition? He could have entered a non-tested competition. Then what do you have all said? Oh, notice, he enters a non-tested show. Why do you think that is? Because he hopped on. And so he enters a drug-tested bodybuilding competition. He gets his blood work done on a random
All right,
day.
let's go back for a second. I think something got
tested show.
passed
Why do you think
over.
that is? Because he hopped on. And
Oh no, back. I want to go back like 2 seconds.
tested show. Why do you think that is? Because he hopped on.
All right. So here's something I did want to point out, right? Because a lot of times what will happen is they'll be like, oh, Hussein, he's huge. He's so much bigger. Take a look at the guys next to him. All right. For a couple seconds. Take a look at the guys next to him. Hussein is not way bigger than these people. And I think that is important to point out, just because I think often what happens is we see like the really, really highly edited photos on social media, and we view these people as larger than they are. And they're like, oh, well, they're massive. Hussein is not a massive guy in this lineup. He's just not. Now, he might have better proportions, like he might have an overall more aesthetic flow, but if you take a look at the actual muscle quality of him next to these guys, he's not blowing them out of the water. So that would be a point in his favor, in my opinion, but obviously we're not talking about, and this is what I keep coming back to, we're not talking about the overall muscle mass, we're talking about the time frame. That is really what the conversation is. And Greg has kind of hamstrung himself, because when I've brought up FFMI before, Greg has discounted it as being useless. And I'm like, wait, FFMI is useless? And like Greg has said to me straight up that FFMI is useless. And so because of that, he can't use it. But that would be his biggest friend in this circumstance, is to be like, okay, well, we had a guy who was genetically very gifted, just wasn't necessarily eating or training to the extent that he needed to, or specifically not eating to the extent that he needed to. But then when he finally started eating more and like actually going to the gym, he was able to get his FMI up relatively quickly. But now you're going to see it level off really fast. And he's only going to end up at long term, maybe being like a 24 or 25, maybe even a 26 FFMI if he's really, really gifted. Right? But he can't use that argument anymore because he's blown it off so quickly. He's in between a rock and a hard place at this point. But let him continue.
And so he enters a drug-tested bodybuilding competition. He gets his blood work done on a random day with no advance notice, passes everything. But that's not enough. And so Derek, Hussein is calling you out. Now, myself and Derek, we have beef. He sells fake Ajuga turkistanica. You can say that's libel if you want, but I have proof that it's not real, and so I can say it as much as I want. And so he's not going to sue me because I have the receipts. He's been third-party testing. It's not Ajuga turkistanica. And so if you want actual Turk Builder Max, you know where to get it from Coach Greg. Do I look like I'm selling snake oil? Derek, test Hussein. Do we look like we're worried? And Derek doesn't need the $100,000. He's probably making $10 million plus from having Merrick Health. But hey, if he wants to make a quick $100,000 by testing Hussein...
All right, I feel like this is just like... This is just...
in 4D chess with all of you. I'm literally Nick Avocado, only not literally him.
2 steps ahead.
Why would Greg just immediately take this dubious blood work at face value when he should obviously know better? Well, what's the single biggest motivator for anything in this world? Money.
Money? Bro has never had sex before. He said the biggest motivator is money. No. I would be more motivated to live longer than last time, to improve my power on my bicycle. Money is not the biggest motivator.
Greg didn't just sign Hussein to a supplement company as an ambassador, he has made Hussein a co-owner of his company. This just goes to show that Greg is incredibly eager to have and keep Hussein on board.
He's thinking ahead. He's thinking, this is what happened. So Greg met this young phenom, this one in a millionaire, who somehow scammed him, lied to him, sent him fake blood work from his friend, proved that he was a natural, and then what Coach Greg did, he signed him to his team and in no way ever wanted to have any chance that he could be tested ever again. No one can say he's a fake natty. Or if they do, I'll sue them. If that was actually true, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, I'm thinking about it, I'm putting myself in this guy's shoes, I'm thinking, okay, I could see why he thinks that, because if Hussein was lying and it came to fruition, it would hurt my business tremendously, and so I wouldn't want that to happen. And so why would I have written that original comment on your wall when you had 150 views? Why would I bother to help promote your channel? When I write a comment...
Yeah.
And so if he gets his blood work taken, which is way more indicative of using performance-enhancing drugs than a drug test, well, we'll have the proof he doesn't have the time to cycle off, even if it's in 2 weeks, even if it's in a month. And so who wants to make the 100 grand? If he passes the...
Okay, so basically the rest of this is just more of the same. Greg's laid out the challenge. So my general take on this, and I mean, I just don't... I'm like, if people wanna test him again, or like continue to have him do tests, yeah, I mean, at some point or another, you got to put your money where your mouth is. So I'm not saying that he is or isn't natural, but at the end of the day, people are saying something on one side, people are saying something on another. So you can spend all the time you want leveling accusations, going after, but until you have hard, concrete proof, that's all it is. And we're not looking at a Ronnie Coleman. Like that's the thing that I think we really need to keep in perspective. We are not looking at a Ronnie Coleman. All right. That was just not, in my opinion, that's not really worth the time. Like it's like I have watched Hussein from afar as he's gone through things. I've watched Greg from afar. I've met both of them, got to spend some time with them, but by no means would I say that we're like that we're definitely not in business together or anything like that. But guys, Greg is obviously going to defend his friend and his business partner, and if you truly do care to that extent and you want to pay for the tests, make a video. If it doesn't go big, I'll actually help it go big. You can tag me in it. Make sure that I see it, right? So that it's like, so it doesn't fly under the radar. If you're willing to put a test forward to them at any point, go ahead. I'll make sure that it actually goes somewhere. But until that point, there's not really a whole lot that we can say other than we don't believe it or we do believe it. As always, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. TNF out. But yeah, obviously I'm just going to keep streaming. But that I can send that over to Austin for some editing later. Ain't nobody wasting their own money. I mean, I know that most people won't. That's just kind of the way it goes. But if you wanted to, if you were that serious about it, you always could. Hold up. What are we holding up? Thought it ended. No, I was just I'm doing that so that there will be so that Austin will have a nice little cutoff point to use. Yeah. I don't even know if I'll end up posting that because it's just like I'll probably just post this overall stream and then people can watch it. I mean, obviously the stream will happen regardless, so but I don't think that's worth a hard post. Austin gonna add the rest of the stream in the video. Austin is awesome. I mean, I know you guys comment about Austin all the time. I love wasting money. Bro, what is A? What is A? What kind of currency even is that? React to GVS. Why? What did GVS do? Off topic, but thoughts on Latrell Bankston competing soon, and do you think he will get his pro card? I mean, if he comes in shredded, I'd be surprised if he didn't get his pro card, just because he is really, really big. But I really don't think people understand the difference between getting lean and getting shredded, right? So what happens is somebody can be like, oh man, like they have amazing shape, they have great muscle, and then they show up on stage at like 7% body fat, and somebody else shows up at 5 or 6. And all of a sudden that person just doesn't look nearly as impressive. So you really don't know. But if he's good at dieting, then I'm sure he'll do well. We'll just have to find out. Point the cam up, your hair's getting cut off. I'm sorry. $5% sounds so insane. I mean, at natural shows, especially like a high level natural competitor, 5% is not abnormal. Be honest, do you get annoyed when people tag you on TikTok? No. I mean, it's a good way for me to get content in front of my face, right? Otherwise, I'd have to go searching for the content. Tags are incredibly helpful. Now, I think people tag me sometimes in things that are not very helpful, but what kind of lamp is that? You'd have to ask Tori. Do you know who is Danny Goldboy? No clue. Is that the real Stormbreaker behind you? It is. Is it possible to get to 3% body fat? Yes, but you're so at the brink of death at that point that it's anybody trying to get to 3% body fat has pretty much decided that they're okay with putting their life on the line. What's your opinion on training biceps with chest and triceps with back? It can be fine. The only issue with it is sometimes you'll deal with overlapping fatigue because like obviously pulling exercises involve the bis and pushing exercises involve the tris. So you'll have people doing like bench press on one day and then the next day they'll be training their triceps. It's like, well, you were kind of training your triceps while you were benching. So you have to take into account those variables. Didn't some guy die doing that? Yeah, I think you're referring to Andreas Munzer. He was considered the most shredded bodybuilder of all time. And yeah, he did die. He didn't, as far as I know, he died outside of stage. But it was, I think the suspicion is he died because he tried to get too lean. What is your best achievement you are proud of? I have no idea. I have no idea. Bagging Tory. Realistically, how long will it take to see visible muscle growth? It all depends on the person. It's like, it shouldn't take long if you're already somewhat lean. But if you're not lean, I looked him up. TNF, Andreas is crazy. Yeah, Andreas Munzer is like, if you want to see shreds, if you are interested in seeing like legitimate shreds, like, let's see. This guy right here, I know it's like bright, so it's kind of hard to see. And you can still see that he's shredded, even though you can't really, it's actually unreal. All right. But guys, I have to get going. Do you think AI will take over online coaching? I might be working on such an endeavor. Stay tuned. But guys, I have to get going. So if you guys need anything from me, code TNF for most things. If you struggle to get lean and stay lean, I have my fat loss manual for you. This was technically supposed to be a stream where I was like working on my fat loss manual while I talked to you guys, and it did not happen. Like I got like one paragraph done. So I feel like this is not going to be, I'm not capable of dividing my attention like that. But as always, love you guys. Can you make your cuffs longer so I can wrap it around my elbow? Maybe one day. We'll try, but we'd obviously have to go back to the drawing board manufacturing wise. But guys, as always, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. TNF out.